Junior, want to thank you for joining me for tonight's Sun Belt Conference Women's Soccer Tournament final semifinal, or second semifinal, I should say. Number 1 seed South Alabama taking on number 4 seed Georgia Southern. I'm joined tonight by former South Alabama standout Samantha Slover. Sam, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Steve. How are you?
I am wonderful. Excited to be here tonight. Jags getting ready to defend their Sun Belt Conference championship from 2013. Next leg of the journey, the number 4 Georgia Southern Eagles. Starting lineups for the teams. First for the Eagles, in goal Katie Merson, defender Renee Nance, midfielder Stephanie Grado, midfielder Nicole Niclario, forward and all-conference team member Nora El-Shami, defender Sydney Keir, forward Jennifer Whittick, midfielder Angelica Wallerstadt, defender Alana McShane, midfielder Paige Hoover, and forward Melinda Lucas. For the number 1 seed Jaguars, in goal Sarah Hay, back 4 for Coach Graham Winkworth Jags includes Nini Rabsat-Smith, Sunbelt All-Conference Defensive Player and Defensive Player of the Year, Steffi Hardy, Monique Ottman, midfielders Emily Farrell, Chelsea Followell, Danielle Henley, and forward Rio Hardy, and Sunbelt All-Conference Offensive Player of the Year, Sharday Hanna. And we are underway here at the Cage on the campus of the University of South Alabama. South getting to the conference semifinal by virtue of a 2-1 victory over number 8 seed University of Arkansas Little Rock. Georgia Southern defeated Appalachian State in a very entertaining match, 1-0 Wednesday afternoon. As I said, I'm joined by former South Alabama standout Samantha Slover. Sam, it's an interesting thing we got here. You got a number 4 seed and a number 1 seed. During the regular season, South Alabama did defeat Georgia Southern with 2 very late goals. Going forward and looking at this game tonight, what do you expect out of the Jags?
I think at this point in the tournament, being the last semifinal, seeds don't really matter. Number 1 and number 4, these two teams are both very, very good and have a lot to prove, and they have a lot on the line tonight, so I think we're going to see a very exciting game.
Indeed. Georgia Southern, talking to Coach Dunleavy before the game, he was very optimistic that the Eagles were going to be able to provide a little spark and a little shock and awe, maybe even, not his words, mine, and throw some wrinkles at the Jags that hopefully they wouldn't be able to handle. And likewise, talking with Coach Winkworth before the game, he was very measured in his approach and thought they're going to go out, try to create opportunities to score. As we see here, the Jags getting in behind. Wide open. The shot wide, well collected though there. That was Sophie Haywood, the freshman from Hull, England, with the game's first shot. But Coach Winkle was very measured in his thought about his opinion of the game and the matchup. He felt that South Alabama matched up really well with the Eagles. It was just going to be a matter of can they create chances to get Sharday the ball, and can Sharday put the ball on frame.
And I think that's what it's going to come down to is who capitalizes on their opportunities. I think defensively both teams are pretty strong, so I think offensive opportunities aren't going to come as often as you would think, and so it's really going to come down to who puts the ball in the back of the net first.
Yep, indeed, and worth noting as the Eagles line up for a free kick, Sharday Hanna, who ranked 6th overall in Division I goals per game average with a .95 goals per game average. Sarah Hay comes out to flick across the end line for a goal kick. Talking about Sharday Hanna, though, number 6 in the nation in points per game. Sharday Hanna, 2.25 points per game. Points calculated based on goals and assists earned in games. She should provide quite an interesting challenge for the Georgia Southern defense because she's got the pace to get behind and the skill to beat. As we see Hannah now, the conference offensive player of the year. South Alabama, Sam, currently riding a 16-game unbeaten streak. The last time the Jags lost was August 31st to non-conference opponent Kennesaw State. You know, at some point, all good things must come to an end. You'd like to think it wouldn't happen tonight. Does that put any pressure on the girls, you think, the fact that, well, we haven't lost in 16 games, let's not blow it? Or do you think that even factors in?
I think it does a little bit, only because that's a streak that they obviously don't want broken, but this is also the conference tournament, so if they lose here tonight, they're done.
Yep, it's win or go home.
It's
indeed.
win or go home, so at that point, it's not really about the streak anymore, it's just about advancing.
Yep. And to point, as we see the Jags working the ball up the near side, that's Chelsea Followell from Saxe, Texas. Ball floated in. Hannah nowhere near it, unable to make a play at it. You know, the Jags had 7 players named the All-Sun Belt Conference teams, 5 on the first team. 7 total honorees are a new school record, and the last Sun Belt school to have 5 first-teamers was Denver in 2010. You know a little bit about Denver, having tussled with them in your time here. You know, the complexion of the Sun Belt's changed a little bit with the departure of teams like Denver and North Texas. But I don't know that the overall quality of the league really was diminished because, you know, Georgia Southern, Appalachian State on Wednesday gave gave Georgia Southern all they could handle. And I was a little surprised that they didn't at least equalize during the game because they had several chances to get on the scoreboard and then just weren't able to find the back of the net.
I think the conference realignment when I think we lost 6 teams.
Yeah, the 2 Florida teams, North Texas, Memphis State, or Middle Tennessee rather, and
Western Kentucky and Denver.
Some good teams there.
Excellent teams, excellent programs, and I think that they were replaced very easily. I think that the competition is still I feel like that the conference is still very competitive, and it obviously shows now with these 2 teams right here in the semifinals.
Yep, and when you and I were discussing before the game, just looking at the other sports in the conference, Georgia State's football team, Georgia Southern's football team, just tearing things up in Sun Belt football play. So we'll look to see here how much the bar continues to raise for this conference going forward. Jags on the ball. We are 7 minutes in. All zeros on the scoreboard, though. Not surprising, though, given that sophomore Sarah Hay has 8 of the shutouts the Jaguars collected this season. She tied for second in school history with those shutouts. Her current goals against average of .78 is the best single-season average at South Alabama. So an interesting year, a record-setting year for the Jags in a lot of respects. No team in Sun Belt history has ever swept Coach of the Year, Player of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year, and the Jags did that. Meaning Rob Sott-Smith, who a player you believe you got to play with, or she came in after you, I believe. She was the year after you graduated. You know, she collects the All-Conference Defensive Player of the Year. She's Sharday Hannah down, and in some pain, players collided. And hopefully Hannah will be okay. But Coach Winkworth, Conference Coach of the Year, Nini Rob-Sott-Smith, Defensive Player of the Year, and Hannah, the aforementioned Hannah, trying to shake off a knock, was the overall Player of the Year.
Players down, 37-55. Oh, okay.
And statistically, South Alabama matches up really well with Georgia State, Georgia Southern, rather, excuse me. Again, I would think that this game will have some offensive fireworks in it. Both teams are going to play to win. Do you anticipate either team will throw a caution to the wind for the early goal, or is it going to be a very measured approach for both teams?
I think that with the few opportunities that South Alabama has had in the last few minutes, makes it exciting to watch the rest of the game. But I think it's going to come down to an end of the game goal, a last minute goal,
which is what happened with these 2 teams in their regular season conference meeting, which South Alabama won 1-0 on October 19th. As we see the Eagles moving forward. Shercliffe collects, but the AR's flag is up for offside. You know, Hannah scored 45 points on 19 goals and 7 assists. You know, and Rio Hardy tossed in 10 goals and 8 assists for 28 points. You know, Sophie Haig with 7, Jordan Duncan with 6, Danielle Henley with 6, Nini Rapsat-Smith from her defending position, 5 goals on the season with 2 assists. You know, and Followell, Hardy, Trutzy, Pejic, O'Loughlin, and Ottman all getting on the score sheet at some point in the season. There's a fair amount of offensive firepower for the Jags.
Definitely. I definitely agree. And I think that, like I said earlier, it's going to come down to who capitalizes on those opportunities first. All it takes is one, or in some cases 2. And I think that the team that's able to do that and then hold defensively is going to come out with the win. You
know, and to be fair, South's the only team in the conference tournament thus far to score more than 1 goal. They're also the only team so far to concede, as the battle there results in a Georgia Southern free kick. Looked like it was possibly Rio Hardy. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was Rio Hardy there, whistled for the foul. But to the point, you know, so South Alabama demonstrating a little bit of that by virtue of the only conference team in the tournament to score more than 1 goal. They're also the only team to concede. And to be fair, University of Arkansas Little Rock, you know, they worked hard to earn it. You know, talking to Coach Winkworth, you know, when the score went 1-1, he never really panicked. He just made sure the girls knew that they got to stick to the game plan, keep attacking the goal, try to create chances, keep the ball moving. He's very emphatic about that, about keeping the ball moving and forcing the opposition to adjust. You know, talk for a minute. You know, we see with many teams these days defending with some sort of zonal configuration with a back 4 or a back 3. How difficult it is for a back 4 to stay organized when the ball is constantly getting switched, you know, east-west.
It's difficult, but definitely not impossible. And I think that you just have to be aware every second, and you have to be aware of where the ball is going and who it's going to. As a defender, you have to be able to anticipate the next move. So if you know the ball's going to be switched and going through, you have to be able to anticipate that before the opposing team can actually do it, because that's how you stop them from getting through.
Yep. And you see there, you know, I seem to remember a younger Samantha Slover bombing up and down the sidelines, creating chances for her Jags, as we see Shercliffe and Rapsat-Smith both adept at going forward. You know, and I mentioned this on Wednesday. They both remind me of you. Very pacey, very aggressive, are not afraid to take chances, not afraid to take players on in the final third. You know, and in this modern game, and where you're defending, the outside backs are just as critical to the attack as the strikers and the midfielders.
I was just going to say that I think outside backs are underestimated as offensive players, but they are instrumental in making the plays and creating those opportunities for their offense to put the ball in the back of the net.
Indeed. And it looks like it's Haywood on the corner kick, Sal's first of the evening. Ball floated in, lovely cross. Can Rapsat-Smith get on there? Clear off the line, second chance, and it's in the net! Jags up 1-0. Not sure how they're going to score that. The ball may have already been across the line when the Georgia Southern center back headed it into the top of the net. Rapsat-Smith with the ups to get the first challenge in. Keeper just caught out of position, unable to recover. The ball was cleared off the line. What a great save from the Georgia Southern defenders, but the putback, the second chance shot, finds the back of the net, and South Alabama's leading early 1-0. 17th minute. And they're going to credit junior all-conference team member Nini Rapsat-Smith, the Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Year. There's a 6th goal of the season. And it's always good when you can get offensive production out of your backs, as we were just talking. Underrated indeed. Rapsat-Smith with the ups to get up there and put that ball on frame. You know, talking to Coach Winkworth before the game, he felt it was very important that they create chances early. And there they are, another set-piece goal for the Jaguars.
And that just goes to prove that winning that first ball in the air can make things happen. Had she not won that ball in the air first time, might not have gone in the net.
Absolutely. She did well, got up and over a couple of Georgia Southern defenders. And it's officially going to be scored as an own goal. Robsat Smith took the initial shot. I didn't think that she got the second head on that. I'm not sure. It may actually have been Rio Hardy who put the ball back in. But ultimately it was a Georgia Southern defender who, to be fair, did her utmost to try to clear the ball out. Just unfortunately when she went to redirect it, she directed it up and behind her into the net.
And had she not made that attempt, the ball probably would have gone on the goal anyway. So as a defender, that's a tough decision to make, but if you don't make it.
Yeah, it's no question you got to make that. You've got to make that decision. Farrell with the ball forward. And Georgia Southern's going to have to regroup. Try to find a way back onto the score sheet. Because, you take that play away as we see the Jags surging forward again. This is Followell. Great run off the ball by, that looked like it was Rio Hardy. Hardy tries to cut to the inside. Has her pocket picked. And here she is, Stephanie Grotto. We talked about her a lot in Georgia Southern's quarterfinal win over Appalachian State on Wednesday. Grotto figured prominently in that game, and if memory serves, she scored the game's only goal to get Georgia Southern to this conference semifinal. Hardy knocks it down. Hannah Lurking just doesn't make a play at it. And that's Nora Al-Shami, Georgia Southern's second-team all-conference striker. Al-Shami had a quiet night in their game on Wednesday against Appalachian State. Still a player the Jags have the good penalties. See Robsat Smith surging forward. Robsat Smith with options, tries to find Sharday Hannah. Unfortunate that. Ball hit a little bit too hard, even for the pacey Sharday Hannah. Easily collected by Mershin, the redshirt senior from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Although the ball not very compellingly sent out. And the Eagles will take the throw-in. If you're just joining us, folks, we are 15 minutes in. South Alabama 1, Georgia State 0. South Alabama leads courtesy of a Georgia Southern own goal. Georgia Southern defenders trying to clear the ball to the line. We see an athletic run by Shirtcliffe, the pace. Shirtcliffe comes to the inside on Grotto. Serves a ball into the near post. A little bit of flair there from Rio Hardy, and you can hear Coach Graham Winkworth exhorting his players to really kind of take a chance that ball is going to feed through. Hannah had a chance to maybe get a tap in on the back post, but again, players got to anticipate, and I think that's what Coach was trying to get him to do. Shirtcliffe, unable to get pressure. Emily Farrell will give chase. Farrell, the sophomore from Lancashire, England. And Sydney Keir, the senior from Granville, Maryland, will loop over to take the throw. Folks, if you're just joining us, I'm Steve Morisani Jr., joined by former South Alabama standout Samantha Slover. You're watching live Division I women's soccer. This is the Sun Belt Conference tournament. Winner of this game will advance to play the Troy Trojans, who defeated Texas State 1-0 earlier today in the conference final on Sunday. Winner of that game punches a ticket to the NCAA women's tournament. So a lot on the line here, but both teams playing with a fair amount of composure. I don't see a lot of nerves. I don't see a lot of decisions made by the players that lead me to suspect that people are rattled. Shirtcliffe. Grotto comes to close down. Shirtcliffe drives the ball in. Knotted down, but not out of danger of the strike. Deflected by Georgia Southern defender and well away. That looked like Steffi Hardy. Hardy had to play second ball. And follow well. Ottman. Now Ottman tries to link up with Rio Hardy. Instead, they'll play it out wide to the far side. Looks like Danielle Henley. Haywood. Shercliffe on the overlap. Ball comes through. There's Hannah. Hannah in the box. Can she turn? Will try to serve. Ball across. Not out of danger yet, though. Although now Grado's got room to run if she wants it. Ball driven forward. And now Alshami going to try to play forward. That was Jennifer Whittick. Follow well. South Alabama very content to just knock the ball around a little bit and settle in and try to get Georgia Southern, out of their rhythm. And to be fair, it seems to me like Georgia Southern might be looking to try to catch South on the counter. Hannah. Nice ball in the strike. Hardy probably wants one back. Good combination play there by the Jags to get the ball in position to create the opportunity. Some good interchange there. Definitely you can see the chemistry there between Hannah and Rio Hardy. Hardy, the freshman from Workington, England. And to be fair, you have Sharday Hannah, the freshman from Tupelo, Mississippi. Crazy if you take a look at the lineup how many freshmen are on the field. So a very young team for Coach Graham Winkhorst Jaguars. Shercliffe. And how many times are you going to see Shercliffe and Robstott Smith come forward? I mean, it's integral to their attack. You take a look, Sam. They make full use of the capabilities, and it's helpful, too, that they both have pace and skill.
It definitely is, and I think that having that extra man on the offense is very, very dangerous. Georgia Southern's going to have to pull someone back, leaving their offense without a man or without another player that can put the ball in the net.
Hardy tries to link up with tries to link up with Sharday Hannah. Yeah, Sam, it's interesting. The two outside backs are going to get a workout tonight. But if they can unbalance that defense, they're going to create chances to score. This is Haywood. Haywood still on the ball. Just a bit much. Georgia Southern, though, to be fair, keeping discipline, not getting caught up in the heat of the moment, playing like the game is 0-0. I didn't really see them get terribly rattled. It's a horrible way for a team to give up a goal, but to be fair, Hannah very nearly got the turn, but to be fair, they're demonstrating quite a bit of poise. Back line staying intact. They're making plays. They're keeping South Alabama out of any real clear-cut chances.
And you have to stay composed even this early, especially this early in the game. If Georgia Southern stays composed, they're going to get their chances eventually.
Yeah, you would think so. You don't get this deep into the season by being an offensive slouch. And as you see, we got a sub getting ready to come on. It looks like Gabby Watson, the sophomore from Apollo Beach, Florida, getting ready to make her first entrance to the game as the ball's floated in. Well won and cleared, though, by Emily Farrell, the sophomore from Lancashire, England. So outside backs, figuring in prominently. Both teams. Georgia Southern as well. This is Sydney Keir. Now Hoover. This is Grotto up the wing. Tracking back, though, Sophie Haywood. Good work rate, though. Both teams, though. Neither team is shying away from the challenges. Both teams are working hard. I think this bodes well. I think it'll be an entertaining match tonight. Coming forward as the game continues to evolve, what do you see happening? What do you see happening offensively for both teams?
I think that Georgia Southern's going to get their chances. I think they're slowly making their way down the field further and further each time, so their opportunities are going to come. It's just going to depend on whether or not they put it in the net. Their opportunities, they're not going to have a million chances, so they're going to have to put them away when they do get them, because if they tie it up and even take the lead, all they have to do at that point is hold South Alabama off defensively. Yep.
And then for South, offensively, you've got some firepower. Hannah at some point is going to get free again. The question is, how hard are the players going to work off the ball to support her? This could be a problem. So South Alabama not pressing there. Opportunity wasted, perhaps, huh?
Maybe if it were the second half, but like I said, we still have some time left, so sometimes you got to pick and choose your battles.
Sure. As we are approaching the 25th minute, South Alabama leading 1-0. This is Sunbelt Conference women's soccer. It's the conference tournament. Winner of this game will play the Troy Trojans on Sunday at 1 o'clock here at the Cage in the campus of the University of South Alabama. Alongside former South Alabama defender Sam Slover, I'm Steve Morisani Jr. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. So something of a chess match here. South Alabama, though, running at the Eagle defense, creating chances and ultimately scoring, or creating the chance that led to the goal, was an own goal. And I believe it was, perhaps was Paige Hoover that may have been the one that tried to clear it for Georgia Southern. But let's give credit where credit's due. The initial shot by Nene Robsott-Smith. Oh, this could be trouble here. Hannah may look to try to get inside position. She's going to cut across. She's going to fight her off. The cross. And nobody home. The initial shot as we see a ball floating into the back post. Hannah's going to try to make a play for it. She'll get up. She takes a spill. Curious call there. I'm not sure about that, but referee was in a good position to make the call. And I think Hannah may have been a bit aggressive going over the top. But to be fair, Robsott-Smith's first shot cleared off the line. So defensively, Georgia Southern did some good things there. Just unfortunately, the second chance shot, player had no chance.
And it happens. It happens to all defenders at some point in their career. And there's really nothing you can do about it except for recover offensively.
And to be fair, she didn't appear to be rattled after it. Very professional in her approach. She got back into it. She mixed it up. Was hard in on the tackle from that point forward. Question is, though, can South Alabama continue to keep the pressure on? You would think at some points, as you can hear the coaches making adjustments as we go, for the Jags, Coach Winkworth wants his players to squeeze. He wants them to kind of push forward and maybe press some of these, to be fair, kind of hopeful, almost soft, almost pedantic balls that the Jags are sometimes lobbing forward with no real purpose, it seems. How important is it for the Jags to keep that pressure on when those balls are lobbed forward? Because South seems to be content to just maybe send the ball in and just, let it go.
And that works to an extent, but I think in a game like this, I think Georgia Southern's putting everything on the line. So they're going to have to keep that pressure up if they're going to want to keep the lead.
Shercliffe here cuts to the inside. Shercliffe still on the ball. Doesn't have an option here. Maybe Hannah can get on it. Hardy. Let me tell you something. Shercliffe's got some pace. Swept on, advantage given. To the inside. Could it be? What a save, the second chance. Still in play. Cheeky there. That was Danielle Henley.
Excellent save by the keeper.
Indeed.
Very good positioning, way to come out.
Merson did well, but what a run from freshman Shercliffe. Guns blazing for the Jags here in the first half. South Alabama looking to double their lead. Although, to be fair, I'm not sure 2 goals is going to be enough. I think if either team were to get a 2-goal lead, I think it would be very problematic because this game is definitely going to be a bit wide open. South Alabama, by virtue of the style that they play, and Georgia Southern, by virtue, they too play kind of a wide open style as well. They can do it when they need to. I'm looking forward to exciting the game. That's some nice skill there. That was Nicole Naclario finding Grotto wide. Grotto, just a hopeless cross. Never really made it in. It's a substitution for the Eagles. Ali Brashear, the junior from Brunswick, Georgia. Getting ready to check in for, it looks like Jennifer Wittick. So Wittick, the sophomore from Downingtown, Pennsylvania, who figured pretty prominently in the Georgia Southern win on Wednesday. She did a lot of work, underneath. A lot of that kind of, all that unheralded stuff, Sam, that never gets on the stat sheet. as we got a Georgia Southern player who's down, possibly respiratory issue. It's a pretty crisp evening here. Looks like she's having a hard time catching her breath. To be fair, though, she's having to deal with Nikki Shirtcliffe, and Shirtcliffe has, to put it mildly, Shirtcliffe has pace. And she's tough on the tackle. Definitely a potent weapon. As Sydney Van Kuren gets ready to step in. Van Kuren, a 5'3" senior from Rincon, Georgia, got meaningful minutes in the game on Wednesday against Appalachian State. This play gets ready to resume. So 23rd minute, Sam. What's your overall reaction to the game so far?
I think it's been pretty competitive. I think that Georgia Southern's made a few mistakes, and they haven't really been able to break through the defense. And South Alabama obviously capitalized on their opportunity, although rendered an own goal. They definitely put Georgia Southern in that position to throw an own goal.
Yeah, and Georgia Southern now prodding forward as Al-Shami comes over. Al-Shami was the lone member of the Georgia Southern team to earn all-conference honors, earning it as a forward on the second team all-conference squad. As Tina Truzzi gets ready to check in for the Jags. Ball floated in. Serves a great cross. Ball's going to rattle around a bit. Robsat Smith with the header. Now Hannah. Danger lurking, though. The strike. Sarah Hayes going to go and collect it, prevent the goal kick. What a season Sarah Hayes having. 10 shutouts. Microscopic goals against average. Helps, though, to be fair, though. She's got a pretty good defense in front of her, but Sarah Hay, though, talking about paying your dues, we talked a little bit about this. I was talking to Melissa Drish, the Jags keeper from last year's Sun Belt Conference Championship team, and Drish was quick to point out how hard Sarah's worked to get to this level of her game, and we talked about this earlier. Coach Winkworth, kind of taking the girls' work ethic to another level, getting them to buy in. How important is that, Sam? It's often said that female soccer players or female athletes in general tend to play for their coach and not for each other. So how important is that buy-in as a female athlete, what say you to that?
I think it's a little bit of both. Not necessarily they don't play for each other, because I think they do, but I think that the coach plays into it more than you would think. And if you don't have a coach you want to play for, then your performance is obviously going to not be at its fullest potential.
Sure. And to wit, I think that's the same. We could say the same for male athletes, to be honest with you. El-Shami in the corner working against Shirtcliffe. And they'll concede the corner kick. So the Eagles' third corner of the half. Let's see what El-Shami's got up her sleeve here. And it's the short corner. Well covered by Altman, but the shot deflected, and Altman will clear. This ball may actually hold up. Goes out to touch for an Eagles throw. Renee Nance, the junior from Alpharetta, Georgia, will lope over to take it. And that was Neclario. Ball for El-Shami. So 31st minute, South Alabama leading 1-0. You are watching live NCAA Division I women's soccer. The Sun Belt Tournament Conference Championship. South Alabama, the number 1 seed and regular season champion, with a 16-1-2 record, taking on the number 4 seed Georgia Southern Eagles. Or check that. Actually, at this point in the season, yeah, the Jags are 17-1. Or 17-2-1. But they were undefeated in conference play. 1 draw, 8 victories. Dangerous play for Hay. And there it is. Sarah Hay, quality keeper for the Jags. Collects easily, and now let's see what South can do here, playing the ball out. That was Emily Farrell, the sophomore from Lancashire, England. And to be fair, too, Sam, in your time at South, not that many international players. And this day, this current squad, there's quite a few players from Europe. You would think that would be a significant advantage. But we're starting to see more and more of the Sun Belt teams begin to recruit players from Europe. And I think that'll have a long-term positive effect for the league as a whole. It'll make the teams more competitive. I mean, remember now, Georgia Southern beat Indiana 2-1 at the beginning of the season. And South Alabama defeated Mississippi State. So the Sun Belt showing well against some of the big boys or girls, depending on how you look at it. And I would think, Sam, and I'd love your opinion on this. When you get a win against a major conference team like Indiana or Mississippi State, that's got to boost your confidence, especially when it's early in the season.
It definitely does, but it also sets the bar a lot higher, so you can beat these teams in the SEC and the Big Ten. And then you have to play at that it sets the bar high, so you're going to have to play at that level every game from there on out. Not that they're not playing at a high level already, but it sets the bar even higher, which allows them to perform even better throughout the season.
Duncan checks in. The junior out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. She replaces Rio Hardy. Hardy's a good shift for the Jags there. And Duncan brings her own unique skill set as well. So, the Jags able to give a couple different looks to this back four for Georgia Southern. Trutzy very nearly got that one there. Now Ashami. What a deft touch forward for the Eagles. Plays it back through, but I'm not even sure if Ashami is going to beat Shercliffe to the ball. But Shercliffe is still with a rather insipid clearance. Although now that's Sophie Haywood. Haywood finds Duncans for her first touch of the half. Pocket pick, though, there. That was Allie McShane. Shane a bit too aggressive, though. So tempo of the game, Sam, staying pretty high. As we see Shercliffe. And she'll just lob a ball. And again, you can hear Coach Wingworth really trying to get his players to press. Maybe create a 2-on-1. Maybe try to catch a Georgia Southern player, alone with the ball deep in their defending third. That could be a problem for the Eagles going forward with Sharday Hanna lurking, on the penalty stripe.
And Georgia Southern's doing a great job at keeping South Alabama from getting through that line. They've tightened up their defense a little bit. You see South Alabama taking some longer shots. Their outside backs are going to have to enter the attack more if they're going to want to create opportunities.
Sure. Fitness is going to have to be at a high level for both Robsott Smith and Shercliffe, because I'm of the opinion, Sam, the only way that South may get a bit of breakthrough here is by using one of those outside backs to maybe unbalance the defense and maybe catch Georgia Southern when they're shifting over. And that could open up the back post as Henley. She'll try to keep it, but the Jags will maintain possession. That was Trutzy. And again, South Alabama willing to be patient. Although now Robsott Smith. One to beat, cuts to the inside. Has options, finds Duncan. Now Hanna. Hanna tries to find Duncan. Duncan has a shot at it. Smothered by Merson. Again, Merson off her line really well, Sam. That's twice now. That chance maybe not as compelling as the previous one, where she made the save on Rio Hardy. But still, nonetheless, Merson going to have a big game tonight.
And coming off your line is one of those things, if you commit to coming off, you have to come all the way.
Sure.
And that's what she did right there. She decided to come off her line, and she came out and she got the ball.
And as a former fullback, it's reassuring to have a keeper that's composed and willing to be that aggressive, because I think it gives you confidence that you can get forward. You've got to get back. You've got to respect your defensive responsibilities. Sharmy's going to try to turn. She'll face up the defense and try to play one forward. But it's got to give you confidence as an outside back to know that, I can get forward because I've got a keeper that can come off her line, get a forward off of his run. I can get back. I can help her out. As we see Duncan, nice ball from Shercliffe. Going to try to link up with Hannah. She does. Hannah with the touch. Hannah going to work to the inside. The strike. Could it be? Just wide. Jaguars apoplectic. And then laser-like focus. They're back at it. That was Henley, the sitter on the back post. And you got to think that's a good sign for the Jags, even though she missed it. The chance was created.
It was created, but earlier, like I was talking about, they definitely have to capitalize on their opportunities. That was one that arguably should have been put away.
Sure.
Georgia Southern did a great job hanging in there, but those are the opportunities that I was talking about. Those have to be put away every single time.
Rabsat Smith clipped. This could be a caution. Referee showing admirable restraint. That looked like that was Paige Hoover.
And she had a lot of momentum going forward.
Sure.
Most of the time, those clips are nothing but your momentum.
Sure. So good judgment from the official there to exercise restraint and not issue the caution. Well, that wasn't Hoover. That was Melinda Lucas, the sophomore from Cape Coral, Florida. As getting set to check in for the Eagles is the 5'5" sophomore, Taylor Burns. Burns hails from Sewanee, Georgia. Yeah, and I thought so. Lucas didn't get up right away, so she may have sustained a knock. She's coming off the field kind of gingerly. Lucas, a sophomore from Cape Coral, Florida. And she'll kind of limp off the field. So we'll see if that has any impact on play going forward as Sharday Hannah is going to give a little talking to. Is going to get a talking to, rather. From our official. Folks, if you're just tuning in, this is live NCAA Division I Women's College Soccer Sunbelt Conference Tournament. Semifinal number 2. South Alabama, the number 1 seed, leading number 4 seed Georgia Southern 1-0. South Alabama got to the semifinals courtesy of a 2-1 victory over University of Arkansas Little Rock. Sharday Hannah scored both goals for the Jags in that 2-1 victory, as we see Al Sharmi. Instead, Tritzi, to look at the little skill there. Shercliffe earns the foul. Georgia Southern defeated Appalachian State in their semifinal 1-0. Stephanie Grotto, who subbed out earlier in the first half, assisted by Nora El-Shami on a corner kick. That goal proved the difference as Georgia Southern advanced via the 1-0 victory on Wednesday. Winner of this game will advance to play Troy on Sunday. Troy will be a tough nut to crack for both of these teams, though, Sam. 13-game unbeaten streak, 13 shutouts on the season, 5-game winning streak for the Trojans. Could be a tough matchup for either one of these teams. They're very stingy defensively, the Trojans. El-Shami. Ottman. That's Sharday Hannah. Yeah, I could see Hannah drawing double teams probably from this point forward. She's proven dangerous. She's proven dangerous so far in the match. That was Haywood. Good battle here. That was Sydney Van Kuren. Phenomenal work rate, though, from both sides, back four. Really, really working to get up and down the field. Ball's going to float in. Well out of danger. Getting ready to check in for the Jags is number 19, Alyssa Pejic. Shercliffe. Cuts to the inside. Just a missed opportunity there. Not sure if Shercliffe thought she was going to be able to beat her, because she had Trutzi available. And there's the workhorse Manley. Now Shirtcliffe again. Lobs one forward for Duncan. Duncan's not going to be able to make a play at it, though. This is McShane. Ball forward for Elsharmi. Knocked down for Ali Brashear. Elsharmi's going to give chase. Not out of danger yet. Brashear fancies the strike. So, hey, let's it go wide. 43rd minute. South Alabama leading 1-0. Pejic checking in for Sharday Hanna. So Hanna getting a little bit of a talking to from the center official. Probably skirting a potential booking. But you would think, though, Sam, that an early caution could be very detrimental. So players will need to be careful. An early yellow card, an early caution can really affect how you play going forward for the rest of the game, can it?
Definitely, especially if you advance. If you end up, there's always the potential that you're going to advance. So a caution, a yellow card, a red card, that affects your entire team. So as a player, those are some tough decisions you have to make. If you have a caution or currently have a yellow card, then it hinders a little bit your style of playing, especially if you're a more physical player.
Yep. And both teams, Sam, neither team shying away from the physical confrontations, which I mean, you have to. You've got to be strong in the air. You got to figure if you make it to the tournament, you're going to be facing a major tournament team, a very high seed in all likelihood. You're going to have to be able to assert. You have to be able to assert yourself on the ball if you're going to have any chance to stay in the game.
And soccer is a very physical game, and this game here is proving to be just that. Not dirty, but physical.
Absolutely.
Very physical. It's clean, but they're getting knocks and shoves in, so it makes it a little more exciting.
Sure. What a touch from Elsharmi, the turn. Has Brashear if she wants her, gives it up. Brashear will turn. Good defending there, Truzzi. The work right there. Look at Elsharmi, what space she gets the ball in. Going to try to cut across. The strike! Just over the crossbar. Hay had it covered. I'm of the opinion, Hay, if that ball's a bit lower, Hay probably parries it over the crossbar. But that was a well-struck ball from all-conference striker Elsharmi. So Georgia Southern may be down, may be trailing, but they're not out. What a touch there from Shirtcliffe. We'll try to strike it forward. That ball may stay in. Duncan had a good beat on it. So 45th minute, South Alabama leading 1-0. Phenomenal work rate from Shirtcliffe. Just a good shift all around. Duncan will take a spill, and Georgia Southern will take the throw. McClario. That'll be headed clear by, looked like Farrell maybe? Nope. That was Steffi Hardy. The Jaguar attack takes on a very different complexion when Sharday Hanna is not on the field. Not a bad different, just a very different complexion. Duncan's got strength and size, to go with a decent first touch. Just not able to find the net, although she very nearly got in behind once. Pejic takes the clothesline, and that'll take us to the half, folks. South Alabama leading 1-0. All right, Sam, final thoughts as we watch the teams exit the field at halftime. Overall impression of the first half?
I thought that South Alabama came out really strong. Obviously, they got the early goal, and they kept the lead. But last 10 minutes, Georgia Southern was breaking through that defense. They were getting a couple shots on goal. Opportunities that will only push them harder in the second half.
Sure.
So I think that if Georgia Southern comes out hard in the second half, they have a definite possibility of tying, if not taking the lead. South Alabama is going to have to show up a little more offensively and really put away those chances, especially those couple that they missed mid-half.
Yeah, the chemistry in the first half between Hanna and Rio Hardy, I thought they did some things well. I agree with you. I felt that Manly had the clear-cut chance to double the lead there. You got to finish those chances. But I do think I do think, though, there'll be more opportunities for both teams in the second half. I'll be surprised if this game stays 1-0. Your halftime statistics, Katie Merson, the keeper for Georgia Southern, making 2 saves. Sarah Hay, not called on to make a save, but to be fair, though, the shot by El Sharmi, if it had been any lower, she would have been called on to make a very difficult save. South Alabama outshot Georgia Southern 8-4, but Georgia Southern took the lead in corner kicks by a 3-2 margin. The own goal came in the 12th minute after a scrum on a corner kick. All right, folks, for Samantha Slover, I'm Steve Morisani Jr. We'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Hang tight. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Second half action just about gets set to kick off. South Alabama leading Georgia Southern 1-0. Sharday Hanna over the ball, along with Rio Hardy. Alongside Samantha Slover, I'm Steve Morisani Jr. Thanks for joining us for tonight's game. And we're back to action. This is Haywood. So right off the bat, I think we're going to pick up probably right where we left off, Sam. A fairly contested physical affair that has the Jaguars with the lead. And to be fair, Al-Shami with the one good chance for Georgia Southern. The Jags, though, creating several opportunities. And to be fair, really should be up 2-0.
I agree. I think that they missed that open opportunity. Although they still have the lead, it's going to make the game a lot more interesting when Georgia Southern only has to put one goal away.
Sure. And we saw this in the first half. South Alabama generating, opportunities from different schemes. Shirtcliffe just putting in a Herculean work effort in the first half. The pace, as Merson collects easily. Just Shirtcliffe's pace alone could prove to be a decisive factor as the game progresses. Because I'm telling you, you see it, Sam. She's got speed to burn and the skills to go with it. Could create matchup problems as Ushia Sharmi will try to turn. That ball's flipped wide for Grotto. Or Galetta, sorry. Sarah Hale will come out and collect. Second half action underway, 46th minute. South Alabama leading 1-0. Sunbelt Conference Tournament. Shirtcliffe. Hannah just got caught in a bad spot there. Although she may be able to yet. Nope. A bit hard on the tackle there. Sunbelt Conference Women's Soccer Tournament. Number 1 seed South Alabama taking on number 4 seed Georgia Southern here at the Cage on the campus of the University of South Alabama. Host squad with a pretty good crowd tonight. Very happy to see that. Cheering on their Jags. Georgia Southern. Got a few fans here as well. So a good crowd. Good atmosphere. Lovely weather. Cool, crisp fall evening as we see Robsat Smith cut to the outside. Robsat Smith will try to turn the corner. Facing up on 2 defenders. A bit of a shove there. Goal kick. So we already see the outside back, Sam, getting involved early on in the second half. And remember now, that's Robsat Smith was Sunbelt Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Total package player, though, Sam. She can play on both sides of the ball, in my estimation, equally effectively. You could almost use her as a wide midfielder, to be honest, if you were so inclined.
I definitely agree, and that's kind of how that outside back position works in a 4, in a flat 4. And although defensively they have to be strong, offensively they have to be just as strong because they have to contribute to the offensive side of the play, because that's how they're going to score goals.
Yep. Another throw-in for the Jaguars. And Al-Sharmi will try to settle. Tracking back to Steffi Hardy. Good battle developing right underneath us. Nodded away by the Eagles, and the Jags will take the throw. Henley. Galetta. Or rather, Grotto, excuse me. Picked up by the Jags in midfield. Now Hannah, can she get a touch? She'll play it through. There's Henley. Henley has to turn to the inside. Now she'll find it wide. That's Haywood. Haywood with a little samba there. All for naught, though. Whittaker will just dump the ball forward. El Shami will give chase. That's Shirtcliffe. This is Henley. Plays it wide. That's a great searching ball if Rob Stott-Smith can get there. This is Hardy. Oh, interesting play there. Hardy had to take that ball with the right foot. Bit problematic there for the Jags, although in the end it worked out for them. .52 minute. Jags 1, Eagles 0. I'd be hard-pressed to believe, though, Sam, that one goal will decide this match. I think both teams have put themselves in position. South Alabama more so than Georgia Southern, to be fair, but both teams have put themselves in positions to score.
Yeah, they have, but I think that the difference here is when South Alabama is on offense, they have 5, 6 people attacking. When Georgia Southern is on offense, they have 2, maybe 3. So the difference there is really big. South Alabama's getting those numbers up. They're using those wide backs. Georgia Southern's playing a little too defensively to make an offensive impact in this game.
Yeah, but you'd think, though, going forward, though, that'll have to change as the game wears on. This is...
Absolutely. It definitely will. As time starts running down, Georgia Southern will become more offensive, and I think that's when they'll be dangerous, is when they're starting to put numbers up, numbers that the South Alabama defense hasn't really seen all game.
I'll tell you what, boy, Hannah just hit another gear there. Just unfortunately, she slipped over the ball. El Shami will try to turn, and she does. And that's a ball in behind for Lucas. Lucas will cut to the inside. Well defended there, though, by South Alabama. The ball's driven forward. Henley knocks it down. Henley across for Followell. This is Shirtcliffe. Shirtcliffe takes the ball out to touch for a Georgia Southern throw-in. Look at that. There's some pace there. That was Haywood just flying across the field. That's a ball floated in. What a turn inside for Hardy. Hardy still on the ball. Hardy into the penalty area. Cuts back. Runs into a double team. Very nearly concedes a foul. Picked up by Henley. Henley still on the ball. Spin move there. Tell you, to be fair, now Georgia Southern does a good job with the double and triple team. You know, cognizant of what South Alabama's players can do on the ball, they're making it very difficult for the players to use their skill to its full potential. As we see Sade Hannah cutting inside, the Jersey pull, gotta be, and it's a penalty kick! It's a penalty kick! It was a fait accompli from the get-go. Sade Hannah puts her head down into the penalty area. Jersey gets stretched from a medium to a 2X. And then that insult to injury, she takes the spill. And the freshman Rio Hardy from Workington, England, with the chance to double the Jags' lead. And it's 2-0 Jags! What a strike from the freshman Rio Hardy. And South Alabama leads 2-0.
Number 9, Rio Hardy on the penalty kick.
Sade Hanna does the dirty work. Rio Ferdinand, neat as you please, puts the ball in the back of the net, and the Jaguars lead 2-0. 35 minutes left in the half. This game may very well, if I can get it out, open up now, Sam.
Definitely, and this is the point in the game where we were talking about Georgia Southern's going to have to be more offensive. At this point, being down 2-0, they have nothing to lose at this point and everything to gain. And the only way that they'll gain in this game is if they start playing some serious offense.
Yes, indeed. Some nice dribbling moves from Alana McShane and Rio Hardy. McShane showing that center backs can dribble as well. This is Haywood. Trutzy. Oh, nice ball swung across there for Shercliffe. Shercliffe to the outside. Can she turn the corner? Unable to, but South Alabama now going to try to really put the pressure on. And, it's got to take a little bit of a load off defensively for the Jags. You got to think now with a 2-goal cushion, not that they'll relax, but that now they can maybe take some more risks. Or do they, Sam? Do they play to protect the lead, or do they just keep going and try to put the ball in the back of the net again?
I think they just keep going and doing what they're doing. I think when you let up, whether it be offensively or defensively, I think that's when it creates problems on the field. Do you think, we have a 2-0 lead, we can ease up just a little bit, and that's where a team like Georgia Southern will break through and will put the ball in the back of the net.
And caution forthcoming. Sade Hanna takes a spill. Question is, absolutely. It looked like it was Renee Nance going in the referee's book for just a hard tackle.
Hey, ref, you got a number?
On Sade Hanna. Free kick now for the Jags. Shercliffe is going to step over the ball. So the game's first caution goes to the Georgia Southern. Renee Nance. No free kick given. The card came after the play. Ball floated into the back post. Could it be? Parried up and over. What a save from Merson. Holy mackerel, folks. She had to get up and on that ball to get it over the crossbar. The long-range attempt from South Alabama. And Sam, I think the game may actually start to open up even more than we expected. South Alabama now really going for the jugular. The strike! Ball played out. Hanna knocks it back in. Just wide. Substitution getting ready to come in for the Eagles. Number 23, Ali Brashear, getting ready to check back in along with Jordan Duncan and Tina Trutzy. I had Chelsea Followell mistaken for Tina Trutzy earlier in the game, and I apologize for that, folks. This is Hardy. Hardy got room. Back post option going to open up, maybe. Henley. Rapside Smith going to try to play smart, and she does. Plays loud to continue. Dump back in. Hardy will flick on, but it's interesting. You've got Hardy on the near side. You've got Sade Hanna 20, 25 yards away. Do the forwards need to play close together? Look at this ball for Hardy to the inside. Well defended, though, but not out of danger yet. Lays it back for Ottman. Finds Shirtcliffe wide. Shirtcliffe will lob one in. The flick on. Not coming. Some good work there going forward from the Jags, but Georgia Southern's defense resilient now. They've conceded 2 goals that I'm sure the coaching staff's not happy about, and you definitely, the own goal, a bit of a confidence breaker, but Georgia Southern still defending resiliently as we've got a couple substitutions. Duncan and looks like Truzzi checking in for the Jags. There's a substitution as well for the Eagles. We'll try to get that to you. Hannah tries to turn up the sideline. Will float one in. Truzzi's lurking the flick. Wide and no problem for Merson. So South Alabama definitely upping the tempo now. Ball bounces through. I think Duncan thought maybe that Followell was going to win that. Instead, it's picked up by Georgia Southern. This is Grotto. Robsott Smith will knock that ball down. She'll face up. Well cleared by Sarah Hay. This is Van Kuren. Danger lurks for the Jags. Alshami! That could be your play of the game right there from Shirtcliffe, Samantha. I mean, she stood her up. I mean, Alshami got the turn. Alshami had a crease. And Shirtcliffe did well to shut her down.
Yeah, and in a situation like that, being inside the box, if you don't shut her down, that ball's in the net.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Alshami with the corner kick. Not well struck into the side netting. And Hale restart with the goal kick. Driven into the midfield, won by Grotto. This is Shirtcliffe coming from a deep position. She'll pick it up. Can she get forward? She's surging into the midfield. Got one to beat. Lays it inside for Hannah. Hannah's going to try to find her. They can't thread the needle. Still won, though, by Followell. Now starting Hannah again. Hannah with the shot. No issue there for Merson. So other than that little foray in where Hannah earned the penalty kick, kind of a quiet night for the Sunbelt Conference Player of the Year.
Pretty quiet, but it's showing in other aspects of the game.
Sure. And to be fair, too, she's drawing double coverage on basically every touch. They're clearly watching for where she is. Pretty insipid clearance there. And now Grotto's got the ball. Facing up Jaguar defense. The shot! Just over the crossbar. Followell got played behind, and it was up to Farrell to stop her. So a heads-up play there from, I think that was Grotto that took the shot. That was a good look at the net. Hay may have had it covered, but that ball had some pace behind it. Haywood. Duncan going to give chase along with Haywood. Robsott Smith will lope over to take the throw. Good battle there. This is Haywood. Curious choice there, but now Duncan gets a touch. Interesting decision there. I'm not sure why. Who was that? It looked like it was maybe Wallerstedt. I'm not really sure why Wallerstedt felt the need to get the jersey there. I think she had Duncan in a good spot. Now, Duncan, granted, had support on the near side, but I'm not sure that she was going to turn towards her and play the ball. Still, no harm, no foul there. Ball goes across the end line for a goal kick. Floats in the midfield. Flicked on by Duncan. Better clearance that time for Merson. Nice touch there from Haywood. This is Ottman. Ottman still on the ball. Still trying to search forward. She may be able to get there. Disappointing there at the end. I thought Ottman had a fair play at the ball, but to be fair, she may have been getting some leverage there. The center back for Georgia Southern lost her footing and went down. I don't know that she was able to get back up. Still, the AR is in position to see that. It happened right in front of him. Truzzi coming across. Just misses the tackle. Haywood. Follow well. Shercliffe may make a play there. Look how deep Sharday Hannah's coming to get the ball. This is Shercliffe. Can she negotiate a breakthrough? No. Grotto. Niclario. Van Kuren. Acres of space for Bashir. Good tackle there from number 4, Farrell. Followwell will try to clear, but only as far as Niclario. Farrell again. South Alabama having a difficult time clearing the ball. Another ball straight up into the air. Some pedantic defending going on right there from the Jaguars. Now a ball floated in, the strike! El Sharmy wide open there, huh? Farrell was in a spot to make a play. The center back should step, no?
Definitely. You have to step there. You can't let that shot happen, ever. And Georgia Southern just proved that they're still in this game. That was a nice little run that they just had. Opportunity created, and South Alabama was struggling getting that ball cleared out. So they're putting the pressure on offensively now, and it's coming. So they just proved, like I said, right there, that they're definitely still in this game, even though South Alabama has a 2-0 lead.
Truzzi does well there to earn the throw-in for the Jaguars. Haywood. Duncan. Take ones for the team. So the Jags, there's some battling going on here, Sam. I mean, both teams getting stuck in on the tackle. You always like to see that as a coach. Haywood. Forward now for Brashear. That's Van Kuren. No chance there as Hardy comes over and cleans things up. Trouble there now. El Sharmy loses her footing. Chance for the counterattack. Ottman unable to clear, though. Niclario wide for Van Kuren. Van Kuren working against Sunbelt Conference All-Conference defender Robsat Smith. And now it's Haywood turning. A limp pass forward there. Nice turn there. McCroy from Brashear. Grotto. So pretty relentless both ways there. This game has got a nice little flavor to it right now. Sade Hannah trying to work the ball forward for Duncan. Duncan's in a bit of a pickle, though. If she can get out of it, though, she's got room to run. No luck there. Haywood will try to apply pressure. This could be a good spot for the Jags, though. Fortuitous touch there from Robsat Smith, Sam. That ball had trouble written all over it. Van Kuren will swing it across. This is Elsharmi. For Brashear, working against Hardy. Troubles with the clearance, huh? Duncan just not strong enough on the challenge there. So here we go. Hardy and Henley getting ready to check back in. Hardy with the penalty kick. That puts South Alabama ahead 2-0. And to be fair now, Henley's been a real worker bee in the midfield. Doing a lot of the unsung hero stuff underneath. So Duncan and Haywood stepping off. And Haywood looks like she may have taken a little bit of a knock. She's coming off the field a little gingerly. Yeah, it looks like she may have taken a knock. But some good minutes there for Sophie Hardy, excuse me. Hardy, another freshman on a squad replete with them. Haywood hails from Hull, England. And a corner kick awarded to the Eagles. Oh, rather a throw-in. My apologies, folks. Now it's a corner. So Elsharmi to take the quarter kick. Floats into the back post. Hey, has it cut? The second chance ball. Still not cleared. So some resilient defending from the Jaguars. Bending but not breaking. But again. Could it be Hannah's moment? Hannah's moment to shine. Wide open Henley. Can she make up for the first half miss? Lays it off for Truzzi. Still though.
That was a good defensive recovery by Georgia Southern. They got numbers back quickly.
This could be Robsat Smith. She'll try to cut to the inside. Very nearly took a spell. She stands on her feet to cross. And it's 3-0 Jaguars. Hardy with the brace. South Alabama 3, Georgia Southern 0. And some hard work. We talked about it, Sam. There it is. The play of the outside backs. Searching run forward from Robsat Smith. And Hardy gets her second goal of the night. And South Alabama leads 3-0. And perhaps it's time for the Jags to consider making plans for a Sunday date with Troy.
Like we talked about earlier, those outside backs entering the attack was going to make all the difference in the game. And I think that because South Alabama's been doing it more often, and that proves right there how dangerous those outside backs can be and the plays that they can create. Georgia Southern's really going to have to turn on the offensive gear if they want to stay in this game.
And to be fair, other than Elsharmi's long-range attempt in the first half and then Grotto's long-range attempt in the second half, chances for the Eagles have been few and far between.
Yeah, but they are getting a lot of corners. It's just those set pieces they're not being able to. They can't put away. South Alabama's defense has been pretty strong on the set piece, winning the first ball and in turn clearing it out. So those set pieces could be dangerous, but South Alabama's defense has been holding strong.
Yeah, and to be fair too, a lot of pressure is now off the Jaguar back line. I mean, obviously South doesn't want to concede, but if they do concede, they still have a 2-goal cushion, and Robsat Smith and Shirtcliffe are still going to be able to get forward and create chances. I mean,
True.
that was just class from Robsat Smith, Sunbelt Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Again, we talked about this earlier, Sam. I mean, she does it on both sides of the ball and does it very, very well. Another assist as the ball's floated in. Farrell wins it, though. Now, as an interesting, statistical note, for Robsat Smith, that's her third assist on the season. Just an all-around good season for both teams, to be fair, but South Alabama really kind of clicking on all cylinders right now.
I definitely agree. They're keeping the pressure up, which is important at this stage in the game with less than 16 minutes left. It's easy to let up just a little bit, but as long as they keep the pressure high, they look like they're going to be in pretty good shape.
Free kick given to the Eagles. So a contrast in the first half from the first half. First half was a bit of a tennis match, Sam, kind of back and forth. Both teams having the odd chance, but in the second half, game's been fairly wide open, if I may say so myself. Georgia Southern searching for a way in. This is Van Kuren. This could be hopeful. Ball across. Henley's turn only gets her in trouble. This is Van Kuren again. Another searching ball across. Just not able to get it to somebody.
And Van Kuren's been sending the ball in left and right, and nobody's getting behind it. But she keeps putting those balls in like that, especially when she gets them over into the middle. They could be dangerous if somebody gets on the other end of it.
Well, Osharmi in the first half found herself on the receiving end of one of those crosses. Wide open. Just pushed the ball wide on the volley. 76th minute, South Alabama leading 3-0, courtesy of Rio Hardy brace. 2 goals this half for the freshman out of Workington, England. Hardy with a penalty kick. And then just a great opportunity. Slots the ball home under a diving Merson. Goal made possible by just some hard work from Nini Robsat Smith, just up and down the field, the workhorse.
Entering the game for the Eagles, number 15, Jennifer Whitty.
This is Brashear, surging forward. Brashear again. El Sharmi. The strike. Flicked on. Clean sheet preserved. You notice how the interchange with that back four, what a good job they do. They just kind of the compactness there as the ball's coming forward. Really impressive there, because that actually was a pretty good opportunity for the Eagles, given how their game has gone. It was an opportunity for them to maybe get on the scoreboard and maybe get some momentum and get back into this game. Although, to be fair, though, Sam, I don't really think that Georgia Southern's out of it. I mean, the score is 3-0. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for them to come back. But at the same time, that's a little glimmer of hope, I think, for him. But again, the defense for the Jags just right in there. Shirtcliffe is just working her rear end off to get in behind the ball. That was Wallerstedt's attempt, and she'll take the throw for the Eagles. 77th minute, winding down, Jags 3, Eagles 0. Alongside former South Alabama standout Sam Slover, I'm Steve Morisani Jr. You're watching live Sunbelt Conference Women's Soccer 2014 Conference Tournament. Number 1 seed South Alabama enjoying a 3-0 lead. Compliments of a real hearty brace. Both goals coming in the second half. South Alabama's third goal coming early in the first half on an own goal off of a Nini Robsat-Smith header on a corner. And we've said it a couple times, but we'll say it again. I mean, just Shirtcliffe's pace, just blistering. Definite a matchup problem, but you got to give credit where credit's due. I think it's Sydney Keir that's matching up with her, and she's done a good job. When she's been able to keep Shirtcliffe in front of her, she's been able to contain her somewhat. But if Shirtcliffe's getting behind, it's really unbalancing that Georgia Southern defense. And then you saw Robsat-Smith with the run, And to be fair, Robsat-Smith had a legitimate gripe to go down on the penalty box because she was clearly clipped. She just was strong enough to fight through the tackle. This is Henley trying her luck from distance. Over the crossbar. We got a substitution for the Eagles. Melinda Lucas checking back in, replacing number 13, Sydney Keir. So perhaps maybe Georgia Southern maybe trying to up the ante and maybe get a little bit more favorable matchup. Hannah. Going to try to knock it down. She's hooked. Interesting. Tough call to make there, to be honest with you. I couldn't tell. Both players there, Sam, definitely grabbing. And Georgia Southern earns the free kick. 80th minute, South Alabama 3, Georgia Southern 0. The winner of this game will advance to face the Trojans on Sunday here at 1 o'clock. Here being the University of South Alabama in Mobile, Gulf Coast, USA. Shirtcliffe. Kind of hopeful there for Hardy to get on the back of that one. This is Brashear. Niclario. Nope. El Sharmi. Has Brashear running. Steffi Hardy says none of that. Looks like Emmy Piscini might be loosening up. Or is that Monique Ottman? I'm not sure. Yep. Looks like it's Emmy Piscini going to check in. This is Henley. And to be fair, what? Alyssa Mayer. Sorry, folks. My mistake. Couldn't see the jersey number. So Alyssa Mayer getting the check-in for the Jaguars.
Name.
And she's replacing Sharday Hannah. So what do you think of that move? Is it time, you think, maybe to start to think about trying to close the game out, Sam? 82nd minute.
That's a tough call to make. I think that where South Alabama's sitting right now, I wouldn't oppose to the decision. However, someone like Georgia Southern, they're going to fight tooth and nail until, that 90th minute. And they're getting those opportunities. It's just a matter if they're going to put them away.
Sure. And let's not forget now, Georgia Southern has had very scant opportunities, a very mercurial defense tonight from Coach Graham Winkworth's Jaguars. But the chances that they've gotten were very clear-cut, well-earned opportunities. We'll have to see. Because you would think on paper, pulling Hannah out may compel the Georgia Southern defenders now to get a bit more, even more aggressive than they already be. It looks like that.
Absolutely. I think that if they notice that quickly, then they might do that. That would be a very good move on their part. not having to double team that up front.
And this could be Hannah. This could be Hannah. Going to cut to the inside. Going to try to feed one across. Can Hardy get the hat trick? Now it's Henley. Henley will turn the strike. Just wide. And you know Henley wasn't thinking. Did you notice Henley's body language was pretty clear? She was not thinking to switch that ball out for follow well. She was going to go to goal. Because you got to think, Sam, at that point, 4-0. You're going to the finals. And to be fair, at this point, clock not on the side of the Eagles. Something's going to have to happen very drastically and very, very quickly if the Eagles are going to have any chance of extending their season past tonight. This could be a troublesome ball. Well kept in. Whole ball's got to cross the line there. Not sure that it did. And play will continue. Almost a very fortuitous turnover, though, for the Jags. That would have been a prime spot for a throw-in. So Alyssa Mayer's first touch positive. Jags earn the throw-in. The flick and cross from Henley. Ottman. Steffi Hardy will play it smart. Sarah Hay will collect, try to maybe take a second or two off the clock. Interesting this. Georgia Southern not really prosecuting that pass back. A little surprised by that.
I am too, especially with 6 minutes left.
Sure. Shirtcliffe with the move there. Holy smokes. What a move to get in behind. And you just get the sense that Georgia Southern's resolve might be beginning to ebb just a little bit. 85th minute.
Number 10, Tina Truzzi with the Jaguar corner.
And Truzzi will take the corner kick. And this may be South Alabama's first corner kick of the half, Sam. Truzzi sizing it up. Farrell's in the box, wants to go. Instead now, could it be? Truzzi again will get a second chance. Cuts to the inside. Has her pocket picked. And now Georgia Southern surging. Look at the work rate, though, for the Jaguar back four. Farrell on her horse. So Steffi Hardy. Just kind of an representative of how the night's gone for the Eagles there. Van Kuren just has the ball player. Fans in fine voice, folks, here at the cage. Beautiful rendition of when the Jags go marching in from the faithful. As we wend our way into the 88th minute. South Alabama 3, Georgia Southern 0. And this could be a potential turnover problem. You know Hardy wants the hat trick. Already has the brace. She's going to fight for it. Hardy still coming forward. Going to cut it back. Foul there. Hardy quickly puts her hands up there. I've seen players booked for less there, but again, referee admirable restraint there. Ball floats in. Ottman. That's Henley. Hardy just not a lot left in the tank, you'd think. Waning minutes, second half. South Alabama 3. Georgia Southern 0. Sunbelt Women's Soccer Conference Tournament. Semifinal number 2. South Alabama poised to make a return trip to the final. Second trip in 2 years to defend their conference tournament championship, where if the results hold, they'll take on the Troy Trojans, their in-state rival, this Sunday at 1 o'clock here at the cage. And here comes Hardy. Hardy's going to fight out the challenge. Gutsy defending there from Renee Nance. Just tell you, you can just see it. Hardy wants that third goal. She wants the hat trick. And she may yet get it, Sam. 89th minute approaching. South Alabama 3, Georgia Southern 0. South Alabama poised to return to the championship game and perhaps earn their second NCAA conference tournament berth. Second in 2 years. Here, Robsat Smith. Going to try to cut to the outside. Well, one and in. Here's Van Kuren. Working against Robsat Smith. Cuts to the inside. Here comes Van Kuren. Still on the ball. Farrell puts the fire out almost before it starts. Henley takes a clip, but she turns with it. Hardy's working off the ball. Henley cuts to the inside. Has options. Follow well. Nice ball out there wide for Truzzi. If Truzzi can get on the end of it, not going to be able to there. 90th minute approaching. Georgia Southern and Hope may have finally begun its inevitable fade into the sunset. Alyssa Mayer going to fight to get back. And again, just another example of just how Georgia Southern's night's gone.
One minute remaining.
Henley. Truzzi. Just not a lot. No real reason at this point, Sam, for Hardy to go forward. And South Alabama will be advancing to the Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship game for the second time in the program history. And not only that, it's a two-peat for Coach Graham Winkworth and his Jaguars. The final forward. And there you have it, folks. South Alabama will go on to face Troy in the finals. Troy, a 1-0 winner earlier tonight over Texas State. Jaguars compellingly defeating the Georgia Southern Eagles 3-0. And there you have it, folks. The Jags are going back to the title game. Chance to play for another NCAA championship berth. Jags will play this Sunday at 1 o'clock here on the campus of the University of South Alabama. Final thoughts, Sam.
I thought it was a well-deserved win by South Alabama. I think that they took full advantage of their opportunities and were able to come out on top. I think that Georgia Southern hung in there, and they had some really unfortunate circumstances. An own goal, some beautiful opportunities to score, and they just couldn't do it. And like we said at the beginning of the game, it was going to come down to who was going to capitalize on their opportunities.
Yeah, and to be fair, that first goal, the own goal, just put Georgia Southern on the back foot. Even though they, to be fair, I thought they were very resilient. You know, they tried to find the back of the net, just unable to. All right, folks, there you have it. Our job here is done. Final score: South Alabama 3, Georgia Southern 0. So congratulations to the Jags. Their second conference tournament championship appearance in as many years. Your final from the cage: South Alabama 3, Georgia Southern 0. Jags take on Troy Sunday at 1 o'clock here at the cage. We hope you join us on ESPN 3 for all the action. On behalf of Samantha Slover, I'm Steve Morisani Jr. Thanks for joining us, folks, and we'll see you out in the field.